Hey guys, James here with you again. Today I'm going to give you a quick rundown on tendinopathy and how I like to manage them with my patients. So tendinopathy is quite a common occurrence and you can get them in almost every joint within your body or major joint, moving joint within your body. So tendinopathies generally occur when the load of work that we're doing, whether it be exercise or just activities of daily living, when that work that we're doing exceeds the tendon's ability to recover and it starts to cause that tendon to break down. When I'm managing someone's tendinopathy, the first thing I'm going to go to is their load management. So the reason being is because they've picked up this tendinopathy problem, which is generally built up over a long period of time, so more of a chronic workload issue. They've picked up this tendinopathy and it clearly means the work that they're doing is just too much, whether it's a volume or intensity or both standpoint. So what we're going to then do is reduce that workload initially down to a manageable level so as to not be flaring up the tendon too much from the workload that we do during a session, and then making sure that after the session it is not also extremely flared up. And the other thing to look at is the next morning as well. And then we're going to start to slowly rebuild that volume. So depending on what the sport is, there's going to be a necessary amount of volume that we need to do to remain competitive, for example. So if our sport is running and we want to be able to compete in a marathon, we're going to have to be able to complete a certain amount of volume per week to be able to complete that marathon efficiently and within the goal times. So for example, if someone wants to run a sub 3-hour marathon, but every time they hit a certain volume threshold within their training, then we're going to have to really pull that back and then lay the foundations once again. And it could be that they're trying to hit that volume at a too higher intensity, or it could just be that they're trying to get there too quickly with that volume landmark, okay? So we're reducing the workload and then slowly rebuilding that workload over time to allow that tendon to adapt. But we're not doing that alone, we're also going to add in specific rehab exercise. Now for the most part, I really like isometric exercises because they really tendons really respond well to them. I don't always use them though, and I don't use them in isolation either, but they're going to be generally the main crux of what we do with tendinopathy rehab. I also like heavy loaded exercise, so just your general concentric, eccentric, contracted exercises. So for example, if we have someone with Achilles tendinopathy, again coming back to like a running example, if someone has Achilles tendinopathy, I'm going to start them off probably with some form of isometric calf raise variation, and then we're going to go into our heavy loaded exercise. I don't tend to do just eccentrics on their own because in my experience in the past it just flares them up more than it does fix them. So I tend to stick with heavy loaded isotonic work. So in this example of an Achilles tendinopathy, we could then go our isometric used in conjunction with a calf raise, heavy load, looking for somewhere around a 5 to 10 rep range just to get a lot of load into the tendon and the muscle, because obviously tendons attach muscle to bone, so we're not going to just try and strengthen tendons, because it could be also the fact that a muscle weakness is occurring, which is causing the tendon to take on too much of that loading. So what we're going to do, isometrics in conjunction with the heavy loaded work. If someone is quite irritable with the tendinopathy, so just literally walking hurts them, I'll tend to just stick with isometrics in the short term, and then again we're going to go back to this principle of slowly rebuilding, and that load management can be applied to also the specific rehab exercises. So we're going to, whatever it is we're doing, we're always going to reduce that acute workload and then slowly rebuild, whilst also adding in these and then rebuilding that capacity of the tendon and the muscle to handle work, and basic levels of work, that is. So just in recap, our tendinopathy is occurring when we have a breakdown from too much workload and not enough recovery. So again, we're going to load manage and then we're going to add in specific rehab exercise to try and get this tendon to heal up and allow the person to get back on the right track with their recovery and performance. This is James Westhorpe. I'll see you in the next video.